So in my last video, I briefly talked about my experiences in South Africa, but they were much more extensive than that. And so I felt like dedicating an entire video to showing you a little bit more of what exactly happened there. Hopefully you enjoy this montage of pictures and videos, if I can find any videos online, as well as a voiceover explaining all the really cool things that we did there.
Alright, so first of all, I'd like to say that this trip was absolutely insane. The amount of things that we saw and what we did every day was incredible, and I'm sure that, there's no way in 100 years that I'd be able to pay for everything that we did. So I'm really grateful to be able to have participated in such an extravagant and amazing trip, and to have seen all the things we saw, and to have met all the amazing people that I met. Alright, without further ado, let's go ahead and start on our journey into South Africa. So on our first day, we got on an airplane and flew out of... Okay, well, first we went to Philadelphia. We got on a bus, went to Philadelphia, and then from Philadelphia we flew to Atlanta, Georgia, and we got off our plane in Atlanta, Georgia at, I don't want to say 5 p.m.-ish, I'm not sure exactly, 5 or 6 p.m. probably. Then our flight was delayed for 3 hours, as it goes many times. But we eventually got on our plane and we're off to South Africa, Johannesburg. The flight was 16 hours or something insane like that. It was a very long flight. So getting off the plane, when we finally made it to Joburg, it was completely disoriented. I was like, whoa, where are we? What's happened? But we were received with welcome by Peter and Juanita, our tour guides, and they took us to our hotel. We stayed at the Protea Hotel, Roadport. So Protea, I'm not exactly sure how you say it, but yes, it was a very nice hotel. We had amazing meals. The first day we got there, we had calamari, and we had liver, and we had a bunch of other normal things too. We had some chicken, a whole bunch of other types of meat. We had a whole bunch of really cool vegetables, fruit. It was really nice. Oh, and green cream soda. All their cream soda in South Africa is green. Anyway, so that was really cool. Anyway, so we all went to bed exhausted, only to wake up 5 hours later and start our day by going into Johannesburg and have High Mass at St. Mary's Anglican Cathedral. So this was really trippy. We went into Johannesburg, and Johannesburg itself was very it's run down, and as we were going in, we got a tour by this really cool guy. I don't remember his name, but he was telling us about the history of Joburg and how it was originally established because the farmers, the Boers, it's been a long time. The Boers were trying to escape from the English because the English were coming in around the Cape Town area, around the coast area, and telling them, hey, you have to obey us, you have to live by our rules. And they were like, nah, man, we want to farm on our own. So they went inland and established a whole bunch of other little farming settlements, I guess. And Johannesburg just happened to be the site of 3 really rich farms. And each of the people there had the last name of Johannes or something. Yeah, Johannes. Sorry, Johannes. And then Berg is because it's a mountainous region, sort of. So anyway, Joburg was established for real when gold was eventually discovered nearby. And once gold was discovered, tons of people moved in, as it normally goes. Eventually the English found out that gold was there, and they came in and said, hey, we want this gold, you have to obey us. And the farmers were like, no thanks. And so there was a big war started between the Dutch and the English over the gold, as it typically goes. The Dutch used guerrilla warfare, but the English were merciless, and they eventually won, established a treaty in, I believe it was around really early 1900s when the treaty was established, 1903 or something like that. in which the treaty essentially said, hey, anything that's below the ground belongs to the British. Anything above the ground can be owned by the Boers, the Dutch farmers. So, Joburg then became much more populated in the earlier 1900s, but then around 1970, 1980, people started moving out of Joburg and into the surrounding suburban areas that were nicer, and Joburg itself became a little bit run down. So we came into Joburg and we saw this rundown city. We were told that there were building hijackers that actually took control of a whole bunch of the buildings in Joburg and would then try to sell them to other people illegally for money, and it was just a big mess. The police had no idea what to do because there was illegal stuff being done all over the place. So anyway, we got out of the bus and in the middle of Joburg, and we're surrounded by this city that looks really run down and not very nice. But then we enter into this building and we emerge into this beautiful cathedral, St. Mary's Anglican Cathedral, and I have no idea where it is because on the outside you can't see anything that looks this nice, but here you can see a few pictures. Really, really beautiful place. The organ was beautiful. The area that we sang in was beautiful. Yeah, it was a really nice cathedral, and these pictures don't do it justice, but very nice. So we sang there, and then we went to Soweto afterwards. Now Soweto was established. It's a suburb, I guess. It's one of the districts of Johannesburg, and there are like a lot of people. Like, I think it was said over 4 million people. They're not entirely sure exactly how many, but as of the last census, which was in like 2000, and I'm not exactly sure. I can't say anything because I'll probably be wrong. It's been a long time. But earlier than now, at least 5 years ago, there were 4 million people. So there's 4 million and counting people living in Soweto. And it's interesting. The poorest people live in what are called shacks. Now, shacks are super, super small. They're probably half the size of my dorm room. You can't stand up straight inside of it. It's made of metal, sheet metal. In the summertime, it's like 50 degrees warmer in the shack than it is outside. In the wintertime, it's like 20 degrees cooler in the shack than outside. This is in Fahrenheit, but still a big deal. So yeah, shacks are not nice, but that's where the poorest people live. The middle class live in what we would consider probably like trailer park homes here in America, and the rich, the wealthy, live in smaller houses, like bigger, like probably I'm not sure, we would consider probably lower middle class homes. Essentially everything that you need is in your home. You have a parlor, you have your bedrooms, you have a indoor bathroom, that's a big deal, and you probably have electricity. 80% of the electricity in Soweto, or something along those lines, is illegally gotten. So like, you'll have one guy who's richer and has a lot more land, and he'll have electricity, and people will come and ask him, hey, can I set up my shack in your front yard? And he'll say, yeah, sure. And then they'll pretty much just become a little community, and the electricity will be shared between them. And I'm pretty sure that they give him something too. I'm not entirely sure what, but that's the way it works. Anyway, we drove through Soweto, and we were told all this as we were going. Very, very cool place. But the people, oh my gosh, the people, we were driving through and people kept waving at us, and then when we got out, we saw this memorial. No, it's not a memorial. It's like a monument. It's a monument, yeah, to the independence of South Africa, and how it's the government. It's a monument to the new government, the democratic government. And I'll show a few pictures of that as well. It's really, really cool. And we were told a bit about the establishment of their government and what it means for them to be a democracy. So then we kept going, and we saw Nelson Mandela's house. We saw Tutu's house. Yeah, Tutu's house. We saw another monument of where students were marching, and like 15 years ago around, and let's see, 16th of June 1916, and they the police came and began shooting, and there's a memorial for a specific student, Hector Peterson, who was shot down. Yeah, so we saw that, and then we performed later that night in this amazing place at the Soweto Holy Cross Church, I believe. Yeah. So, Holy Cross Anglican Church, and it was really cool. We performed with two other choirs, the Soweto Angelic Voices and the Holy Cross Church Choir. That was the most amazing experience. I don't think I've ever had a concert like that in my life, and I don't think I'll ever have a concert again like that. They were so excited. All the audience was hooting and hollering. What they do is they whistle, sort of like, sorry, I'm blowing into my mic. Something like that. Or they like make other bird noises, and they just get really excited and start jumping up and down, and they start singing along and dancing with you. It's the most amazing thing. I'll try to find videos of that and put them here if I can. So yeah, that was really cool. And then after that, we had dinner at a place called Robbie's Place, which is pretty much every meal that we had in South Africa was buffet style. So they laid out a whole bunch of food for us, and then we went and got it was like they gave us our different courses, so we could choose from anything that we wanted. It was very cool. So we went back to the hotel, absolutely exhausted. Then got about 4 or 5 hours of sleep. Woke up the following morning, and we went to the Apartheid Museum, which was another incredible experience. I wasn't allowed to take any pictures inside because they don't really want you to, which is completely understandable. But it was a museum that showed what it was like pre-apartheid, and then the progress that's been made after the apartheid. And there were some really cool things that we saw. I did get a picture of this monument, and as well as a garden on the outside. A few pictures of this garden and the snack shop outside. Very, very cool. You can see the pillars as well in the parking lot that are inside the Apartheid Museum. So yeah, after that we went on a bit of a road trip, saw a whole bunch of really, really cool country on our way to Pilanesberg. So we drove for about 3 hours, and along the way saw some really cool trees, saw a lake, saw some houses, yeah, just some beautiful, beautiful scenery, as you can tell. I'll just probably select some of the best images and put them here. So we got to Pilanesberg, and Pilanesberg is a gigantic nature reserve in the middle of South Africa. Now, it's the safest as well. It's one of the safest nature reserves. The reason why is because you can't catch malaria there, whereas I believe there are three in total. There are 2 others at other places in South Africa, and there malaria is more prevalent. So it was nice because we didn't have to worry about potentially catching malaria. But yeah, we went on a safari, which was really, really cool. Apparently, we were incredibly lucky because we saw pretty much one of everything. Oh yeah, we we also had tourists, a bunch of there were a bunch of Asian tourists, and they started taking pictures of us, and so I took a picture of them as well because I found it funny. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty great. Yeah, so we were driving around and we saw a ton of animals. We saw rhinos, we saw lions, we saw elephants, zebras, giraffe. We saw only like 2 giraffes, but we did see a giraffe. Saw warthog, wildebeest. Yeah. If I forgot anything, I'll make sure to include it as well, so you will be able to see. So not only did we get a safari open vehicle game drive that night, but we also had one the following morning. Oh, and I almost forgot. That night, so after we had our first game drive, the evening, we finished when it was getting dark, and they took us to this I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a open. It's an open area. It's an enclosure, sort of. I'll post a picture if I can. But we had this amazing barbecue dinner. Bry, I believe is what they actually call it. Which was inside Pilanesberg, and there were like guys with rifles sitting outside the entrances to make sure that no animals would come in while we were eating. So that was really cool. Yeah, so we did that, and then we went back to our hotel, stayed there. That hotel was a bit more interesting. I don't know. It was an interesting hotel. In the middle of that night, my roommate and I woke up because we heard something in the ceiling, and I looked at him and I was like, "What was that?" And he said, "I don't know." And then we went back to sleep. That's the sort of hotel that was. But overall, it went pretty well. So the following morning, we went on another really cool game drive and saw a whole bunch more animals. And I'll make sure to give you as many good pictures as I can of the game drives. Alright, so after we did that, we drove back to Johannesburg, and we flew then from there to Cape Town. So yeah, we flew into Cape Town at about, I want to say 4 or 5 p.m., somewhere around there. And we arrived, and immediately, well, first we drove from our hotel, but before, or it's not our hotel, sorry, the airport. But before we went to our hotel, we got to go to Table Mountain. So we went straight to Table Mountain, and we took a cable car up Table Mountain. So you'll see, first of all, some incredible photos of, I guess, the Cape Town when we first arrived, both Table Mountain and the surrounding countryside, the city, the forest, the ocean. Very cool. It was really nice. So we got to Table Mountain, and we immediately took this cable car up. You could see some pictures as we're going up as well. It was a beautiful day. And the reason why we had to go up, I'm sorry, I needed to explain this. There's this thing called the tablecloth. So when it gets windy, sometimes clouds will blow in from Antarctica, and the clouds seem to sit right on top of Table Mountain. And when that happens, you can't see, like, you can't see 3 feet in front of your face. So you have to make sure to go off when the tablecloth is off Table Mountain, because if you go up when the tablecloth is on Table Mountain, you're not going to see anything. Yeah, so we were incredibly lucky because we got there on a day when the tablecloth was off, which was very nice. So we took the cable car up, and the scenes from the top were incredible, as you can see. We got there, we stayed up there all throughout sunset. We were, and just, oh my gosh, it was so nice. Like, while we were up there, we took so many pictures, and we just spent so much time. It was the most amazing thing. It was very cold, it was a bit windy, but it was definitely worth it. It was incredible, an incredible view. And yeah, I've never seen anything like it in my life, and I know that it's an experience that I will definitely remember for a very long time. You can see some beautiful sunset pics that I took, as well as immediately after the sun went down. Here's a picture of the city at night. Yeah, really nice. So then we went to our hotel, and it just so happens that the hotel we were staying at, so our tour guides, Peter and Juanita, told us, hey, so this hotel won't be as nice as some of the other ones, but it'll still be fine. It'll still be good. We got there, and boy, were we surprised in the opposite way than what they told us. It was amazing, incredible. We had 6 people in our room, but we actually had 7 beds. So I actually had a bedroom all to myself that had 2 beds in it. There's a picture, a really sort of blurry picture. Anyway, it was really nice. We had a full, like, living room, dining room, kitchen. Yeah, I took just a couple of pictures. Oh, in the master bathroom, I didn't take a picture of this, but there was a gigantic bath, along with a shower, along with a sink, along with a toilet, along with, one of those things that washes your butt off after you poop. I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, we had one of those, which was like, I don't know, I've never seen one of those in real life before, so that was really cool. Yeah, it was very nice. So, but we didn't spend too much time there. We slept for like another 5 hours, and then got up, because the following morning we were going to Robben Island. So, we woke up the following morning. Here's some pictures of the drive to, actually just two. I saw a gigantic cruise ship boat thing. It's maybe not a cruise ship, it's a gigantic boat though. And then I saw a boat that was being painted, 3 boats that were being painted or repainted in the harbor, so I thought that was cool, so I took a picture. So then we got on a ferry, I guess sort of like a ferry, yeah, a ferry. And that ferry took us to Robben Island. So here's some pictures of going along the ferry. It was a beautiful, beautiful day, and you can sort of see the tablecloth on Table Mountain as well. Over the top, you can see how if you're up there, it would not be nice. I actually read a story in the book that Jen and Kurt gave me about South Africa, where there were these people who were going up Table Mountain. They were climbing up Table Mountain to get a view of the surrounding countryside. And while they were up there, the tablecloth rolled in, and the guy leading them said, "Stop moving, sit down, we're sleeping here for tonight, because if anyone moves, they might fall off the edge of the mountain and die." So, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. Anyway, here you can see, beautiful, beautiful day, and we were just standing outside and taking it all in. Oh, we saw some whales, too, in the water, which was really cool. So then we got to Robben Island, and we got a tour of that. This is where Nelson Mandela was imprisoned for a very long period of time. So this was a POW camp, essentially, except not prisoners of war, but it was mostly for politicians, or people that, not just politicians, but people who had caused unrest, quote unquote unrest, during the apartheid. So it was really sad. Our tour guide actually, he was in prison when he was like 14, 15, and he pretty much told us that he didn't want to be there, which was really sad, because we thought going in that they were volunteers that were giving the tours, but really the reason why there are tour guides there is because they can't get a job anywhere else. No one else will accept them. And he told us that, well, the living conditions in the actual prison were definitely not good. They were fed. They had showers that had salt water. They had mats to sleep on. So he said that most people, if they were going to die, did not die in prison, but they were beaten and tortured before coming to the prison, and so many people died before actually getting to the prison. You can also see Nelson Mandela's cell. I took a few pictures of what that looked like. And his garden. You saw his garden as well. His garden was where he was found many times. We also saw the quarry where he worked, and it wasn't really, they didn't need anything done in the quarry. It was just busy work to get the prisoners to do something, I guess. There's a settlement on Robben Island where some people actually live. There's a church where people actually get married a lot of times on Valentine's Day, we were told by our tour guide. And there's a lighthouse on the highest point. Yeah, it's a nice island. We saw some beautiful, beautiful ocean scenery as well. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to the ocean, but I still think it's really nice on the rocks next to the ocean. Really, really beautiful. Yeah. So we got a tour of the entire island. We were shown all of it. Oh, there once again you can see Table Mountain. How nice it looks. Yeah. Anyway, then after that we got back on our ferry and we went back across to mainland. So the water was even more spectacular on the way back. It was like a turquoise color, as you can see. Yeah. Incredibly beautiful. Yeah, some of these shots, I know I took them, but they look way, way too good to have come from my phone. There were a lot more boats on the way back that we saw as well. There you can see the tablecloth has left Table Mountain, and so you can see Table Mountain in its full glory. As well as the mountain below Table Mountain is Lion Head mountain, and the one to the left is Devil's Peak. And Devil's Peak will be coming back here in a little bit, later on in our journey. Yeah. So, we got to mainland, and we stopped at the waterfront. The waterfront in Cape Town is a really, really beautiful place. And you do a whole bunch of shopping there. There's a really cool Ferris wheel, a whole bunch of restaurants. It's actually the most visited tourist attraction in South Africa. At least that's what we were told by Peter and Juanita. So that's definitely interesting. You have beautiful things like you have like Table Mountain, sorry, and my mind just went. You have like Table Mountain, you have safaris, you have all these other cool things to do, and yet still the most visited place is the waterfront, which is a beautiful place, but it's primarily meant for shopping and the restaurants. So I guess it's a little bit sad, but true. So we went back after having a very nice dinner at the waterfront to our hotel, slept for another 5 hours, and then woke up bright and early because the following day we had the morning to ourselves. So a group and I decided to climb what is called Devil's Peak. So I went with 5 other people. I can't remember, 4 or 5 other people. You'll see them. You'll see pictures of them, and then I will remember. To climb Devil's Peak. So here's some shots on the way up. We got lost at first, and we had to like ask other climbers where we were going, and they told us, oh yeah, just follow this trail this way, and then this road this way, and then you'll be at the trailhead. So we were like, ah, great. We didn't even start the trailhead, but we eventually made it. We actually went very quickly up Devil's Peak because we were told it was going to take a very long time, and we didn't have that long. We only had like 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours, sorry, to climb the entire thing. So we hurried, but I took a lot of very nice pictures. At least I think they're very nice on the way. There's some beautiful flowers too, incredible flowers, and some more amazing shots of the city and the harbor. Anyway, as you can see, we're getting very, very high up. You can see Lion's Head down below us as well. There was another group that hiked that the morning that we were going up Devil's Peak. We decided to tackle Devil's Peak because it was a little bit bigger of a climb, which was appealing to those of us who did. And then we found an amazing place for Facebook profile pics. As you can see, we all took a picture here. Our Minsung, me, and James all took pictures on this rock. So then we finally made it to the top after a lot of climbing, and once we did, we ate lunch. We sang a little bit on the top because, once again, we were there with the Glee Club. Or actually, I never explicitly said that, but we were there with the Glee Club. So we just spent about an hour because we realized we had more time than we thought, relaxed for a bit, and then started the journey downward, and it started to clear up. The sun came out, became a very, very beautiful day. As you can see, the pictures on the way back down are a lot greener. We also saw some lizards, and you can see a lizard there, and then a bigger lizard, and there are 3 more lizards on rocks, if you can see them there a little bit. Anyway, yeah. Once again, the colors were spectacular. Maybe it's just because it's summer there and it's winter. It was winter here, so, but that added on to how beautiful it was. Just made it amazing. Yeah. So then we kept going down, and we were talking all the way down about very interesting. We were talking about math and physics and life and what our plans are, what we're studying, as well as I don't know, just life things. It was a really nice hike, and it's amazing to talk with them and just be surrounded by such beautiful things. Oh yeah, this is where I expressed the sentiment that while I love math, the biggest drawback I have about becoming a math major is math is so disconnected from the real world, and I feel like while I love working with numbers and I love thinking logically, to become completely disconnected from such a beautiful place I don't know if I could do that. I'm definitely enjoying math a lot, but I don't know. I guess I could still go into nature to think, but yeah, there's just something about hikes like this that make you really, and just being in South Africa, that at least that experience for me made me really consider what I want to do with my life. And it made me reconsider everything, because although I have interest, I have a lot of interest in things. I want to do something that, I don't know, makes me really happy, allows me to enjoy everything that I currently like doing, doesn't isolate me from anything. Anyway, so then after that, we went to Gugulethu, and we had a workshop with Pumi Sewu. Oh, I'm horrible at these names. Pumi Sewu, and this was in Gugulethu, and that was another town that was very similar to Soweto. It's definitely a place that people are amazing. You talk with people there, and they're incredibly nice and really happy, and they're just so optimistic. And I look at people like that live there and in Soweto, and I think, they have what we would consider next to nothing, yet they have more happiness than probably the entire Glee Club put together, any single person. And they have so much love for each other and for what they do. And it's amazing to see how much hope they have for their country as well. Yeah, anyway, we had a concert, our final concert there that night. Oh, I completely forgot. We also, oh my gosh, I can't believe I forgot this part of the trip. So the day before, after Robben Island, we had, and before the waterfront, oh gosh, well, we went to the waterfront first for lunch. Then we had a concert at St. George's Cathedral, which was a really beautiful cathedral. The concert itself was a little bit interesting because the I don't know, it was just really weird. The people there weren't as welcoming as people in Gugulethu and Soweto, but it was just a normal concert. And also the our conductor and the music director there didn't get along that well. But anyway, that's enough of that. We don't need to talk about that. It was still a fine concert. So, yeah, we had fasting forward to the end of the day where we had our concert the day after the day we had the bad concert. We then, after grabbing dinner, went back to our hotel and slept that night. And then the following morning, we woke up incredibly early, even earlier than normal, because it's making me tired just thinking about it. We had to wake up and be at a national news station at like 6 or 6:30 or something like that, absurdly early a.m., in order to talk with people there about our trip, and we sang for them. So we got there and we sang on national television, and I'll try to find a video of that and post that here as well. We sang our entire Infundo, which is the song that we learned before coming to South Africa to sing for South Africa. Yeah, it was really cool, and they were amazing as well. They were incredible to talk with, and they were really happy people. Anyway, after that, we got on the bus and we drove. We had this very scenic drive to Cape Point, or just around Cape Point. So here you can see a little bit of that. We saw Green Point, Sea Point, Bantry Bay, and Clifton, Camps Bay, Ladundno, Hout Bay, and in Hout Bay, which is where you're going to see a lot more pictures, we embarked on a boat trip to Seal Island. So this boat trip was very incredible as well. It was another beautiful day. And once we got to Seal Point, we all enjoyed seeing all the seals. So it was very, very cool. And the seals were definitely interesting. Yeah, Seal Island. Yeah, they were playing in the water, and they looked, I don't know how, they looked pretty happy overall, the seals. Yeah. So we saw the seals, and then we took our boat back to where we left our bus, got back on the bus and kept driving, and we saw some more amazing scenery. We saw then, after driving for a while, we arrived at actual Cape Point. So yeah, that was very cool as well. We saw the actual southern, or no, that's not actually the southern tip. That's the southern western tip of Africa. The actual southern tip is not the Cape of Good Hope. It's actually somewhere else. I can't remember what the cape is called, but it's not the Cape of Good Hope. I got some amazing pictures of there too. We spent a decent amount of time there, but definitely not enough. I had to run to make it everywhere I wanted to go. But first I ran down, got some cool pictures of the rocks and the oceans, and then I ran up and to the lighthouse and got some more cool pictures and of the lighthouse, and then I ran down to the actual end of the point, as far as you could go, to get a picture of the new lighthouse. And then we got back on the bus and went to the sign that says Cape of Good Hope, you know, the official sign, and the area around that. So it was very, very, very windy around the Cape of Good Hope, because you're on the southern tip of the continent, and the winds blow in constantly, so actually nothing can grow much out there. Yeah, it was cool though. Saw a lot. Then after that, we went to lunch, had some amazing fish and chips, and then we went to the penguin colony at Boulders Bay, and we saw a whole bunch of penguins. So many cool penguins. They were dancing all over. They weren't really dancing. They were mostly, the ones that went into the water were so funny. They would go out into the water and then just like trip and swim a little bit and come back out and flop down on the beach. And there were two that were holding hands for a little while. That was pretty funny. They seemed like pretty happy animals. Some people actually got really close to the penguins, and there was one girl who brought her swimming suit and went swimming with the penguins in the Indian Ocean, because the Indian Ocean is a lot warmer than the Atlantic Ocean, at least warm enough. Anyway, after that, we went back to home. Well, not home, but we went back, and we then, the following night, went to Gold Restaurant, which was, they served us so much food. They gave us like one of every dish, and they had so much. I felt so bad because we only ate like a quarter of everything they gave us. It was a whole bunch of food though. It was an amazing place though. They had traditional music, and they were all wearing really cool clothes, I guess more traditional clothing. And then at the end of our experience there, we sang for them as well. And then one lady was so excited, she lifted up a chair and started waving it around. So that was really cool. And then I got a napkin from there as well. They threw napkins at us, so I kept it. I mean, hopefully I was allowed to do that, but I got one, I caught it, and kept it. Anyway, really, really cool. Amazing way to end our trip. And then, after that, we drove back up to the top of Table Mountain, or not the top of Table Mountain, but where the cable car is, and overlooking Cape Town. And the night we had a toast with champagne to our trip and how amazing it was, and overall it was an incredible experience. The following day we got on the plane and came back home to start school again the following day. But yeah, it was an amazing trip, and I know that I wish I'd had more time, but we did so much there, and I don't regret any moment that we spent in South Africa. I know that I'd definitely like to go back at some point, and who knows, maybe I'll end up seeing more of Africa at some other point in the future. Anyway, thank you for watching this video, and I'll put links to some other cool videos and things that I used in the description of this video, so you can check out other cool videos that from people and pictures, I guess, that people took while in South Africa. With that, I guess that's all I have to say. It's so awkward ending these. I guess I'll sign this like I would any letter. Sincerely, Daniel.